Still watching the Eastern Business Report right here on the Afia Business Morning. Enugu has officially entered a new era of modern transport. Just days ago, the state celebrated the launch of 5 state-of-the-art bus terminals and a fleet of CNG buses project aimed at improving commuter experience and modernizing city travel. But with fares close to existing petrol bus prices and commercial spaces inside the terminals drawing attention, questions are emerging about accessibility, adoption, and the long-term impact on residents and the local economy. Joining us today to unpack these developments is Mr. Wilson Uche Ugwu, travel consultant and CEO of iTOur Africa. Okay, welcome on the program, sir.
Thank you very much, Marvelous.
Okay, so let's start broadly. From a travel and commuter perspective, how would you assess the launch of Enugu's modern bus terminals and the CNG buses?
Very much. I would like to start by saying that it's actually a defining moment for the Enugu, and especially in line with the intention to reintegrate and also modernize our transport system and vis-a-vis our economy. And this indeed has launched us into a new era. And for me, it is something that is worth going into. If truly we need to make appreciable progress.
Yeah, so what key challenges do you anticipate in ensuring smooth operations and, a positive commuter experience in the first few months? Because, people have been saying that definitely there'll be challenges in anything we do as humans. So what challenges do you foresee in the first few months?
Actually, I would like to start from saying, talking about the impact. The impact is unquantifiable. It is going to actually help us modernize our transport system, the way we go about it. Also, help in our economic planning. This will now ensure that we are going to have enough data to play with. And that is exactly what we are expecting. And then also, it's going to be an addition to our urban desire to renew our urban, that is the urban renewal. And having said that, there are a lot of challenges that we're going to see. One of the challenges is going to be, when new things come on board, it takes a little while for people to get used to it. Yeah. But definitely, people would get used to it. And that is one. And then another thing is it has to do with sustainability. Sustainability in the sense that, of course, are we going to see this maintained and sustained over the period of time? So it wouldn't be that we just launched an integrated transport system and then within a short while we were not able to sustain it. I believe that enough manpower should be trained so that because of course there's going to be a surge and they are able to manage the surge that is going to come as a result of this. And again, the maintenance. We've had, this is not the first time we are having something of this nature. Of course, we've had these red buses, but of course, at this point in time, we can no longer see them. There were issues of parts not being available and then maintenance. So we are expecting, or I am expecting, that the government of the present administration should have put in place a whole lot to ensure that there is no repeat of such.
Yeah, we're also talking about challenges. Yesterday, the government, brought out the transportation fares for the CNG buses, which range between 500 and 900 naira, almost the same as what commuters pay on petrol buses. We were expecting that since these are CNG buses, they would be cheaper. That was what a resident of Enugu State were expecting. Now, what do you see? How do you see this affecting or impacting this development?
Okay, in as much as I expected it to be lower than what we have right now, the truth about it is that it is relatively cheap to compare. One is that you are going to, just like what I saw traveling from, who is going to travel like that with 900 naira in a well organized setting on an AC bus, well comfortable and all of that. So, and then you can't even get a bus that will move from Bariki straight to Ababa. Obviously, you are going to do Bariki to Holy Ghost, then Holy Ghost to Ababa. And that stress, having to jump from one vehicle to another, you know what that entails.
No, you can actually get a straight bus from Gariki to Ababa. There are straight buses that move from Gariki to Ababa.
Okay, maybe I don't have the idea, but of course, like I mentioned, I am actually more particular about convenience. I am more particular about convenience. And again, like I said, with time we expect some level of subsidy coming in. Government should be able to look into it and then see that this is not as business as usual. There should be a way to compensate the decision people made over having to choose the modern way of transportation.
Exactly, because you spoke about convenience, which is why most residents were happy, including me. I was happy when I heard the news of the CNG bus, the rollout of the CNG buses. But now, when we saw the prices, it was looking like our expectations were cut short, right? And another challenge, which is something we might say is a challenge, is the EJ card. The EJ card is free for the first week, but we don't know what the price will be after the post launch. And this card requires you top it up to, make payments and all of that. I would like to get your thoughts on this.
I also want to say that were you expecting that it's going to be free all through? Of course, if you make it that free, what is going to happen is that people are definitely going to abuse it. So I believe that the time frame given for people to get their cards, just like the normal thing we see, getting your NIN, you definitely see that people will still not be able to get it, even when they are asked to do that. But as much as the people who got it within the period should be able to use it. And beyond just using it, if you are going to get it subsequently, obviously I'm suspecting that those first set of people who are going to get it obviously could have gotten it free. Free because somehow it is paid for, not as if it's going totally free. It's either the government is paying for the production or the company that is managing it is paying for the production. But beyond that, you don't expect people to now start giving it free. Else, we are going to see a situation whereby people will even have as many cards as possible in their home or even throw it away. There will be this abuse that comes with it.
I beg to differ. The prices that came out yesterday for the buses, the transportation fares, we don't know if the EJ card is part of it. I mean, before now, we used to pay 500 naira for petrol buses from Holy Ghost to Emene. And then we still see that it is the same thing with the CNG buses. And this might not even include the EJ card and the top up we might be doing to, be able to use this card.
When we see things like this, I don't think there's going to be an extra charge to top up. Obviously, except maybe charges, maybe bank charges and all of that. But like, if I have a card and I am able to load like 500 naira, and I'm able to travel with it within the period. This is an example. And I'm able to travel within the period. If I exhaust maybe as much as I've loaded, then I should be able to load again. Except maybe if we now leave the job of having to load it in the hands of other people who are probably running it. But at this point in time, whatever we are saying is speculation and it's speculative. Nobody has really confirmed it. So I would want an advice that will wait until these things will test run the process and then we'll see. Again, I'm not ruling out the fact that starting with 500, when people start complaining, of course, a listening government will also look into it. There might be a tendency of maybe having to reduce fare. And then another thing I also see that might happen is that as the time goes on, promo can always come in. But these are left to people who are managing this transport system to consider so that they can be able to give people reason to leave the normal or conventional way of moving to now going into the new initiative.
Okay, so let's talk about tourism. Beyond daily, commuting and modern transport infrastructure, this can shape a city's appeal from what we know and from what we see. Now, in your view, what role can these developments play in positioning Enugu as a more attractive destination for tourism and even business travel?
Thank you very much, Martha. I think to a large extent, one of the things that one consider, especially when embarking on a either business trip, tour, or anything, is an organized setting in terms of that includes transportation system, and it is going to actually project Enugu to be an advanced city. Again, it's going to help tourists plan properly because when you go online and you are able to understand, because the conventional transport system, one is that there's a whole lot of abuses exposed. Tourists are exposed to insecurity, a certain level of insecurity. And again, they wouldn't be able to determine their time, maybe moving from one spot to another. In this case, you can easily calculate how long it's going to take you to move from one point to another. To move from one point to another, you are also going to have the benefit of having to determine what is going to an average cost is going to be. And that is exactly what is going to help you. Now, like I mentioned, it is going to help regional integration. Like now, having set up ours, maybe Abia State is able to set up theirs. There will be an integration of what we have in Enugu and what we have in Abia State. And before you know it, the entire five southeastern states would integrate. And even Lagos State can decide to integrate what they have with what Enugu have. So it's so easy to integrate. And then for us, it will also enhance our economic development because having a system like this work, it will now begin to extend to other areas and other sectors of the economy. Thank you.
Yeah, so what additional steps could, the government or operators take to link the terminals and, bus systems to tourism growth and local economic development?
We need to extend this their routes to our major tourist attractions. We should be able to cover that because from what I'm seeing now, we only centered on the city or crisscrossing from maybe Enugu and Soka, and we need to extend it to other cities, adjoining cities, so that we'll be able to cover those places, and then possibly have dedicated buses for tourists, so that we can now have maybe buses, maybe it can be on daily basis, maybe it can be twice in a week, maybe it can be 3 times a week, buses traveling from the city center to some of our tourist attractions.
So for residents navigating this new system, what practical tips would you give to make the most of it, especially, regarding costs, regarding convenience, and also safety?
Two things I would say. One is that people need to be properly enlightened. Now, it gives us room for us to learn more. Let me give you an instance. We've had challenges whereby people travel from here to overseas. And when they get there, they start learning a new life. And that new life might be difficult because they are coming from unestablished environments. So with this, I can assure you that people will acclimatize with the internationally, the best practice internationally, the way the modern transport system works outside here. Of course, we are used to going to places or standing on the bus terminals, waiting for buses to come. But beyond here, outside Nigeria, you see a situation whereby you have your timing You stand at the bus terminal at your time, and then the bus arrives. And then you get to where you are going to at the appropriate time you expected to get there. Maybe if there's going to be anything delay or anything, it's going to be minimal. And then it also helps you to plan. My encouragement to Enugu people is that there is no basis having to complain. When changes come, you have one option. One option is to get used to change because change is constant. So our people need to be enlightened more on how to go about it, and while they are doing it, we would advance. Nobody would want to keep waiting that we stay at one place because we want to please people who wouldn't want to advance. They don't have any option than to advance with the way we are advancing. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Wilson, before we let you go, looking ahead, early expectations like lower fares, like you said, you talked about slashing fares. It hasn't fully materialized. What steps would you recommend to ensure long-term adoption, public trust, and sustained confidence in Enugu's modern transport system?
The truth about it is that gaining public trust requires a whole lot, and this is exactly what the government needs to do. They need to prove to the people that it's no longer business as usual. Of course, there will be doubt because over years people have had their hopes dashed, but this time around, it is now the onus now lie on the government to ensure that they don't allow things to uh, um, turn the way it used to turn. Let governments be trusted by their words. If the government says they are going to do this, let them do it, and then let the result be there. And then again, I also would want to encourage everybody because you trusted past governments and they failed, does not mean that we can't continue trusting. Because I believe that leadership is all about the individual who drives it. And I believe that it's not just the set of people that drove it before that are here now. We now have a different individual, and then hope things get better by the day.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Wilson, for joining us on the Eastern Business Reports this morning. And that's the much we can take on the Eastern Business Report today. Till I see you at 10 a.m. tomorrow for another edition of the Afia Business Morning. I am Marvelous Apuamaga. Many thanks for watching.